Okay.
Will you hold that for me?
Sure.
Okay.
You're going too
You don't have to see everybody, do you?
Busy.
All right.
Keep on watching. We're good? Okay, so shoes, we all have some. We rarely give it much thought. Rarely pay them very much attention. Many archaeologists believe they're one of the very first creations by man. All the ancient, Romans, Greeks, all did it independently of each other, created shoes. To kind of put into perspective some of the differences between current day shoes and some of the first is, well, imagine you go and cut down a sagebrush, bundle it all together, and then tie it onto your foot. That's the oldest known shoe, was a sagebrush shoe. And that's currently housed in the Oregon Museum of Natural History, 10,000 years old. Or many nations you'd use an animal, kill an animal, take the hide, and they would put the skin on their feet while it was still moist so it would mold to their foot. And you'd tie it on with blood vessels or sinew. Pretty gruesome. But necessity provoked the development of this method of protection from all the blistering sand or jagged rocks. Needless to say, shoes have changed throughout the ages. Although in ancient times they may not have had very much variance as far as style goes, today the shoes you wear can define you. If you look at the history here, you've got in 1200 BC the Egyptian sandals, which they used as a status symbol, and that the high priests and pharaohs' tips of their toes were curled. And then if you go forward 500 years to 500 BC, you have the Greek pedilla, or the Romans crepus. And they're both also status symbols. The crepus, actually, the Romans cut a chunk out of the female's shoe to show that they were less. It's also had a military hierarchy value, and that the higher your sandal went on your leg, the higher your rank was. Go to the 9th century, you have the Mongolian horseman's boot, which is heavier for the colder climate, and it's also the most colorful shoe in the Orient at this time. And if you go all the way actually from the 10th century to the 20th century, before it was outlawed finally, the lily foot or foot binding that they did in Japan, where when they'd let a girl grow until she was 3 years old, break every bone in her foot except for the big toe, and then bind it as tight as they can. Hopefully her feet wouldn't grow to be over 4 inches was the goal there. And that just showed that they didn't have to do physical labor, so it again is a kind of status symbol. And then you have some strange laws that they put into play. There's, in the 15th century, the English sabaton, which was enforced by law during the feudal system. A commoner's shoe couldn't go more than 2 inches past the toe of their foot. Merchants couldn't go 7 inches past. Gentlemen couldn't go 12 inches past, and noblemen couldn't go 24 inches past. So you can imagine how awkward that would be to walk in. They had the toe of their boot chained to the knee of their armor. Not a whole lot in combat. Also in Siena at this same time, it was illegal to wear flat shoes in public unless you were a prostitute. And then in Japan they had shoes that were, Japan and Vienna and Venice, they had 13-inch rise shoes that they'd put on the bottom. Again, not very useful unless your purpose is to prove that you're higher than everyone else, in which case it works just fine. And then you've got the 16th century, the babouche, which is from East India. Again, only the elite could wear these. And it wasn't until 1792 that there was a standard shoe size developed. And in the 19th century, when they finally did outlaw the lily-foot foot binding in Japan, he came out with the geisha, their shoe called a gaita. And you have styles that obviously now today define us personality-wise, as well as socially. If you go into, there's designer shoes, you go Manolo Blahnik, Jimmy Choo, Louis Vuitton, Prada, all products we've heard of and probably can't afford. Well, today's shoes are a bigger status symbol than ever before. Brand name, color, and style are all scrutinized. In some cultures in present day, it's considered an extremely rude gesture if you don't take your shoes off before entering someone's house. In Japan, they actually have a pair of shoes that you wear into the bathroom and take off before you leave the bathroom. In European and Middle Eastern countries, it's considered an extreme insult to place socks, shoes, or feet above someone's head, which in normal society isn't a big problem. But the Muay Thai boxers of that region use that as a gesture to insult each other, where they usually kick each other with their shin, they'll kick with their foot. Shoes have had a much larger impact than you realize on the culture of the world today. There have been some kooky designs and laws, needless to say, throughout the ages, and there have been some perfectly practical ones. Either way you look at it, shoes play a significant role in the hierarchy of status symbols. Think about how all cultures throughout their standings in society show their standings in society through shoes. You have from the Greek Krampus here, where they cut out a toe to show that women are less than men, or for a higher social status. Do you think this kind of manipulation isn't happening today? Well, the next time you go to the store to buy a pair of shoes, consider what you're endorsing.
I thought it was going to be boring when you said it was going to be about shoes. Did they give you your subject, or did you choose it?
He chose shoes.
I'm good.
How'd you come up with shoes?
Well, she pulled it on the spot. She's like, just pick
Have you ever
a topic.
seen how many shoes these two have?
Whatever.
We bought them